For decades, Caterpillar has been more than just a company. It's been a symbol of American industry. Its factories provided stable jobs, built communities, and kept entire towns alive. But now, everything is changing. Caterpillar just made a shocking move that has blindsided workers, devastated local economies, and sparked outrage across the country. Thousands of loyal employees who dedicated their lives to the company are being left behind. But this isn't just another case of outsourcing. It's a decision that could send shockwaves through the entire U.S. economy. So is Caterpillar making a mistake they can't recover from, or is there still a way out? Stick around, because the answer could impact your bottom line more than you think. What's happening? Generations of families built their lives around the company, relying on the promise that a Caterpillar job meant stability. So when the company abruptly announced it was shifting a major portion of its production to Mexico, the news hit like a shockwave. Workers who had given their entire careers to Caterpillar suddenly found themselves without jobs. Fathers and mothers who had counted on Caterpillar paychecks to send their kids to college were left questioning how they would make ends meet. Small business owners who had built their livelihoods around serving Caterpillar employees saw their futures crumble overnight. And local leaders, many of whom had worked hard to attract and retain the company, were blindsided, scrambling to understand how this decision had been made without their input. For the workers, the sense of betrayal was immense. Many of them had stood by the company through economic downturns, believing in its commitment to American manufacturing. Now, that loyalty was being rewarded with pink slips and a corporate press release filled with vague justifications about cost efficiency and market competitiveness. But this wasn't just about lost jobs. This move sent a clear message. Caterpillar was no longer prioritizing the communities that had supported it for so long, and the fallout was just beginning. But Caterpillar isn't just hurting workers, it's setting off a chain reaction that could affect entire industries. The ripple effect on the American economy. When a major employer like Caterpillar pulls out of a region, the damage extends far beyond just the workers who lost their jobs. The economic impact spreads like a virus, affecting businesses, real estate, education, and even local government budgets. The first to feel the blow are small businesses. Diners, grocery stores, auto repair shops, and daycare centers, all of which rely on Caterpillar employees as customers, see an immediate drop in sales. With hundreds of workers now unemployed, these businesses face the painful choice of either scaling back or shutting down entirely. Next comes the impact on the housing market. As families lose their income, home foreclosures rise and property values plummet. People who had built their lives around Caterpillar jobs suddenly find themselves forced to relocate, often leaving behind homes they can no longer afford. Local governments also feel the squeeze. Cities that once benefited from Caterpillar's tax revenue now face budget shortfalls, forcing them to cut essential services like school funding, infrastructure repairs, and emergency response programs. Public officials scramble to find new industries to replace the lost revenue, but attracting another major employer is no easy task, especially when companies see a community in decline. And it doesn't stop there. Caterpillar's move signals to other corporations that outsourcing is still a viable option. If a giant like Caterpillar can move production abroad to maximize profits, what is stopping other manufacturers from doing the same? The fear of a broader outsourcing trend looms over American industries, raising serious concerns about the future of domestic manufacturing. For those left behind, the question remains, can these communities recover, or are they doomed to become another set of abandoned factory towns? Silent reminders of what used to be. And while workers are struggling, Caterpillar executives are celebrating. Why? Because for them, this move is all about profit. The real reason Caterpillar moved to Mexico, on the surface, Caterpillar justifies its decision with economic reasoning. Company executives argue that moving production to Mexico was necessary to stay competitive. But is that the full story? Let's break down the numbers. In the United States, a factory worker at Caterpillar earns an average of $30 per hour, including benefits. In Mexico, the same job pays closer to $5 per hour. That is an enormous difference in labor costs, and for Caterpillar, it translates into hundreds of millions of dollars in savings. But wages are only part of the equation. Mexico offers significant tax incentives for manufacturers, meaning Caterpillar pays less in corporate taxes simply by moving operations across the border. On top of that, environmental and safety regulations are far more relaxed in Mexico compared to the United States, allowing the company to operate with fewer restrictions and lower compliance costs. So, was this move inevitable? Not exactly. Caterpillar remains a highly profitable company, pulling in billions of dollars in revenue each year. The decision to relocate was not about survival, it was about increasing shareholder value at the expense of American workers. Executives and board members will see massive financial benefits from this move, with stock prices likely rising in response to the lower operating costs. But for the thousands of workers left behind, those numbers mean nothing. Their livelihoods were sacrificed to boost Caterpillar's bottom line. And the worst part? This isn't just about jobs. Caterpillar isn't just outsourcing labor, they are making it nearly impossible for customers to escape their grip. But here's where it gets worse. Caterpillar isn't just outsourcing jobs, they're locking customers into a system they can't escape. Scene 2. The costly system. The locked-in customers. Caterpillar's move to Mexico isn't just eliminating jobs, it's trapping customers in a costly repair monopoly. Farmers, contractors, and industrial operators who once trusted the brand now find themselves locked into an expensive, restrictive system. The problem? Caterpillar has restricted independent repairs by locking down its software. Unlike before, where local mechanics could service equipment, now only official Caterpillar technicians can make repairs, often with long wait times and hefty fees. A broken tractor during harvest season? You'll wait days for an authorized repair, paying far more than in the past. Some contractors report spending tens of thousands on service fees for fixes that used to cost a fraction. Caterpillar defends the policy, claiming it ensures quality and safety, but critics say it's a blatant cash grab. Customers who once saw Caterpillar as a reliable investment now regret their purchases, realizing they're trapped in a system designed to maximize corporate profits at their expense. The backlash is growing. Many are turning to alternative brands that offer more repair flexibility, while others are joining the right to repair movement, pushing for legislation that would force companies like Caterpillar to allow independent repairs. What was meant to be a financial efficiency move is quickly backfiring. Between angry workers and frustrated customers, Caterpillar may have seriously underestimated the long-term cost of its decisions. If it doesn't adapt, it could lose its loyal customer base and its dominance in the industry. For Caterpillar, this move to Mexico was supposed to be about financial efficiency. But between the backlash from workers and the growing anger from customers, the company might have underestimated the real cost of its decisions. And speaking of regret, Caterpillar's quality issues are starting to make even loyal customers question everything. Is Caterpillar's reputation for quality fading? Reports of mechanical failures, faulty components, and increased maintenance issues are starting to flood in. Longtime customers are noticing parts wearing down faster than before, engines failing prematurely, and electronics malfunctioning at critical moments. The culprit? Cost-cutting measures. As Caterpillar moves more of its manufacturing overseas, the focus seems to have shifted from producing high-quality machinery to maximizing short-term profits. Customers who once swore by Caterpillar are now questioning whether their loyalty was misplaced. Construction firms and agricultural businesses that depend on these machines cannot afford unexpected breakdowns, and yet, that's exactly what's happening. Stories of expensive repairs, unreliable performance, and supply chain delays are making customers rethink their next purchase. If Caterpillar isn't careful, its reputation, built over decades, could crumble in just a few years. But if a machine does break down, customers are realizing just how little control they actually have. Owning a Caterpillar machine is expensive, but not just because of the initial price tag, it's the hidden costs that no one tells you about. Unlike other machinery brands, Caterpillar has locked down its repair system, making it nearly impossible for customers to fix their own equipment. Caterpillar's machines are now loaded with proprietary software that controls everything from fuel efficiency to hydraulic performance. If something goes wrong, the owner can't just call a local mechanic or fix it themselves. Instead, they have to go through an authorized Caterpillar dealer, where repairs can cost tens of thousands of dollars. Independent repair shops have also been pushed out. Without access to Caterpillar's diagnostic tools and software, they're unable to perform even basic repairs. That means customers are forced to rely on Caterpillar's repair network, at whatever price the company decides to charge. And those prices aren't cheap. Farmers and contractors have reported being billed hundreds or even thousands of dollars just for a simple software reset. This repair monopoly isn't just frustrating, it's financially crippling. Many customers feel trapped, stuck with a machine they can't maintain without paying outrageous fees. The right to repair movement is fighting back, pushing for laws that would force companies like Caterpillar to allow customers to fix their own equipment. But for now, Caterpillar is standing firm, defending its profit-driven approach. But it's not just repair costs. Some Caterpillar machines are failing in ways that could put lives at risk. Safety concerns are cost-cutting measures. Putting lives at risk. Construction sites and farms are dangerous places. Heavy machinery needs to be built to the highest safety standards because even a small malfunction can lead to disaster. But Caterpillar's recent cost-cutting measures are raising serious concerns about safety. Reports of defective parts and product recalls are on the rise. Hydraulic failures, faulty brakes, and engine malfunctions are becoming more common, with some incidents leading to injuries on work sites. Workers who depend on Caterpillar machines every day are noticing increased wear and tear, and some have experienced equipment failure at critical moments. One of the biggest concerns is Caterpillar's reliance on cheaper materials. With manufacturing shifting to lower-cost regions, some components are no longer meeting the same durability standards. A steel part that once lasted 10 years might now need replacing in 3, and when a crucial component fails unexpectedly, it's not just an inconvenience, it can be a life-threatening situation. There's also growing concern about Caterpillar's response to these issues. Customers have reported long wait times for replacement parts and minimal accountability when defects cause serious problems. If these concerns continue to escalate, Caterpillar could face not just customer backlash but potential lawsuits and regulatory action. And while Caterpillar is struggling, competitors are waiting in the shadows, ready to take over. The rise of the competitors, who's poised to replace Caterpillar. Brands that were once seen as second-tier options are now stepping up, offering better service, lower maintenance costs, and more reliable products. One of the biggest threats comes from Japanese and European manufacturers. Companies like Komatsu, Hitachi, and Volvo have been gaining ground, building high-quality machinery with fewer repair restrictions. Unlike Caterpillar, some of these companies offer more accessible repair options, allowing customers to fix their equipment without jumping through corporate hoops. Even smaller American brands are starting to gain momentum. While they may not yet have Caterpillar's name recognition, they're positioning themselves as customer-friendly alternatives. They're offering longer warranties, flexible repair policies, and transparent pricing, all things Caterpillar customers have been begging for. The rise of electric and hybrid heavy machinery is also changing the game. Some emerging brands are investing heavily in next-generation technology, promising more efficient and environmentally friendly machines. If Caterpillar fails to keep up, it could lose a significant portion of its market share to these new, innovative competitors. Caterpillar's position as an industry leader is no longer guaranteed. The mistakes it's making now, outsourcing jobs, cutting quality, and forcing customers into restrictive contracts, are opening the door for competitors to take its place. If the company doesn't act fast, it might not be the construction giant it once was in just a few years. But Caterpillar's troubles aren't just coming from competitors. Lawmakers are stepping in, and they're not happy. Caterpillar's decision to move a significant portion of its manufacturing to Mexico has sparked outrage not just among workers and consumers, but also within the highest levels of the United States government. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have condemned the move, accusing the company of turning its back on American workers in pursuit of cheaper labor and higher profit margins. For decades, Caterpillar has been seen as an emblem of American industrial strength, an example of how U.S. manufacturing can compete on a global scale. Now that image is rapidly eroding. The backlash has been particularly strong in states where Caterpillar once played a vital economic role. In places like Illinois, Texas, and Indiana, where thousands of jobs have been lost due to restructuring and offshoring, state and federal representatives are calling for action. Some politicians are even pushing for an investigation into whether Caterpillar's outsourcing decisions violate any contractual obligations with the U.S. government. Given that Caterpillar has benefited from federal contracts and government-backed infrastructure projects for years, lawmakers are now questioning whether a company that outsources American jobs should continue receiving taxpayer-funded deals. Beyond economic concerns, national security has also entered the discussion. Heavy machinery, especially Caterpillar's specialized equipment used in construction and defense, plays a crucial role in U.S. infrastructure projects. Some lawmakers worry that shifting production outside the country could create vulnerabilities, particularly if supply chain disruptions arise, or if foreign governments gain leverage over critical components. In a time of increasing geopolitical tensions, the idea of relying on foreign-made machinery for essential infrastructure projects is not sitting well with Washington. As pressure mounts, the question remains, could Caterpillar lose key government contracts? While nothing has been finalized, the possibility is real. Some officials are already drafting proposals that would prioritize American-made equipment for federal projects, which could significantly impact Caterpillar's bottom line. If the company continues down this path, it may find itself locked out of lucrative contracts that once contributed heavily to its revenue stream. Will tariffs stop Caterpillar's outsourcing? In response to Caterpillar's decision to move jobs to Mexico, the U.S. government is considering imposing tariffs on machinery produced outside the country. Tariffs have long been used as a tool to encourage companies to keep production within American borders, and in Caterpillar's case, they could make imported machinery significantly more expensive, perhaps expensive enough to make outsourcing less attractive. However, tariffs are a double-edged sword. While they might pressure Caterpillar to bring jobs back to the U.S., they could also raise costs for consumers and businesses that rely on Caterpillar's products. Contractors, farmers, and construction firms could see the price of essential equipment skyrocket, forcing them to either absorb the costs or pass them down to customers. In industries where profit margins are already thin, this could have widespread consequences. Another key concern is global competitiveness. Caterpillar operates in a fiercely contested international market, competing with brands from Europe, China, and Japan. If U.S. tariffs increase the cost of Caterpillar machinery, foreign competitors with lower production costs could gain an even larger share of the market. This could backfire, leading to even more financial strain on the company. Yet, there is historical precedent for tariffs working. In the past, similar policies have successfully brought jobs back to U.S. soil. Some lawmakers believe that if Caterpillar were forced to manufacture domestically to avoid financial penalties, it could revitalize manufacturing towns that have suffered from job losses. The question is, whether the potential benefits outweigh the risks of economic disruption. Caterpillar, of course, is fighting back against these proposals. The company has ramped up lobbying efforts, warning policymakers that tariffs could destabilize supply chains and make American businesses less competitive. Executives argue that the move to Mexico was a necessary financial decision, and that penalizing the company will only push it to seek alternative cost-cutting measures. With Washington deeply divided on the issue, it remains unclear whether tariffs will be implemented. If they are, Caterpillar may have to make a choice: pay higher costs to keep production in Mexico, pass those costs on to consumers, or reverse its decision and reinvest in American manufacturing. But while these legal battles play out, Caterpillar's financial health is already starting to suffer. The financial fallout: is Caterpillar in real trouble? As political and legal pressures mount, Caterpillar's financial stability is beginning to show cracks. The company's stock, once seen as a safe investment, has become increasingly volatile. Investors are growing nervous, concerned that the backlash could impact long-term profitability. Sales are also showing signs of weakness. With customers frustrated by high repair costs and concerns over declining quality, some are starting to explore alternative brands. Competitors that emphasize reliability and repair accessibility are gaining traction, siphoning away market share from Caterpillar. In response to these challenges, shareholders are demanding answers. Caterpillar executives are facing tough questions about the company's direction, and there is growing pressure to either reverse outsourcing decisions or find new ways to regain customer trust. Some investors worry that if the company does not course-correct soon, it could face a long-term decline similar to other manufacturing giants that failed to adapt. The parallels to past corporate failures are striking. Several automakers, once dominant in the United States market, made similar mistakes, prioritizing short-term cost-cutting over long-term customer loyalty. Those that failed to adjust suffered massive financial losses, while others had to undergo painful restructuring efforts to survive. The big question now is, will Caterpillar learn from these past mistakes, or is it already too late? If the company does not make significant changes soon, it could face an irreversible decline. But this wouldn't be the first time a major manufacturing giant faced this kind of crisis. Just look at what happened to John Deere, a warning for Caterpillar. Caterpillar is not the first American manufacturing giant to find itself at a crossroads. If there is one company it should be paying close attention to, it is John Deere. Once a beloved name among farmers and construction workers, John Deere's reputation took a massive hit due to cost-cutting measures, outsourcing, and restrictive repair policies. What started as a series of corporate decisions aimed at boosting profits quickly spiraled into a widespread customer revolt, worker dissatisfaction, and legal battles. John Deere's fall from grace serves as a cautionary tale. The brand that once symbolized reliability and American-made craftsmanship found itself losing trust, not only from its customers but also from its own workforce. Caterpillar now stands at a similar turning point. Will it repeat John Deere's mistakes, or will it learn from them before it is too late? And just like Caterpillar, John Deere's restrictive repair policies only made things worse. For nearly 2 centuries, John Deere was seen as the gold standard in agricultural equipment. Farmers relied on its machinery for durability, longevity, and performance. The company built its reputation on the idea that a John Deere tractor was not just a purchase but an investment that would last for generations. However, in recent years the company has faced growing backlash due to a series of decisions that prioritized short-term profits over long-term customer trust. One of the most damaging missteps was outsourcing. As production costs in the United States rose, John Deere shifted more of its manufacturing overseas. While this move reduced expenses on paper, it also led to growing concerns about declining product quality. Customers who had once been able to depend on American-made tractors began experiencing more frequent mechanical failures, warranty disputes, and expensive repairs. What had once been seen as industry-leading reliability was now being questioned. At the same time, John Deere introduced restrictive repair policies that prevented farmers from fixing their own equipment. Traditionally, farmers and independent mechanics had been able to troubleshoot and repair tractors using standard tools. But with the introduction of proprietary software and digital locks, John Deere effectively forced customers to rely on authorized repair centers, many of which were costly, slow, and difficult to access. The backlash was swift. Farmers, construction crews, and independent mechanics saw these restrictions as a direct attack on their ability to maintain and repair their own equipment. Some resorted to hacking their own machinery just to bypass John Deere's software locks. The frustration only intensified as customers realized that these restrictions were not about safety or quality control. They were about locking them into an expensive closed repair system that maximized corporate profits. Caterpillar risks alienating not only its workforce but also the communities that rely on its factories and jobs. So what does all of this mean for Caterpillar's future? Is Caterpillar on the same path as John Deere? Caterpillar's current trajectory is eerily similar to John Deere's mistakes. The warning signs are impossible to ignore. Just like John Deere, Caterpillar has increasingly relied on outsourcing, moving manufacturing operations to lower-cost countries. While this strategy may reduce expenses in the short term, it comes with serious risks, particularly concerns about product quality and customer trust. At the same time, Caterpillar is implementing restrictive repair policies, limiting customers' ability to fix their own equipment. Just as John Deere's digital locks led to a customer revolt, Caterpillar's proprietary software is frustrating contractors, farmers, and industrial workers who depend on fast, affordable repairs. The rise of the right-to-repair movement means Caterpillar could soon face the same legal battles that forced John Deere to rethink its policies. There is also growing discontent among Caterpillar's workforce. Layoffs, restructuring, and outsourcing have created uncertainty among employees, mirroring the unrest that led to John Deere's historic strike. If Caterpillar does not address these concerns, it could find itself facing similar labor disputes, damaging both its public image and employee morale. The question now is whether Caterpillar will learn from John Deere's mistakes or continue down the same path. The company has 2 choices: double down on cost-cutting measures that prioritize short-term profits or invest in long-term trust by supporting its customers and employees. One possible path forward is greater transparency. If Caterpillar continues restricting repair access, customers will push back. By loosening repair restrictions and working with independent mechanics, the company could restore trust before frustration boils over. Another critical step is reinvesting in American manufacturing. If Caterpillar continues shifting jobs overseas, it risks alienating both its workforce and its customer base. A commitment to keeping production domestic would not only help communities but also strengthen the company's image as an industry leader. The worst move Caterpillar could make is ignoring the warning signs. John Deere's downfall did not happen overnight. It was a slow erosion of trust that eventually exploded into a full-scale crisis. If Caterpillar does not act soon, it could find itself facing the same fate. So what do you think? Is Caterpillar repeating John Deere's mistakes, or is there still time to turn things around? Drop your thoughts in the comments